Here's Drake Toll and Armstrong Sims.
Welcome back into the Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den. Happy Friday, everybody. Rounding out the last hour of the up-tempo today. Baylor Softball in action right now in the Big 12 tournament, taking on Texas Tech in pool play, and they'll face off against Oklahoma at the conclusion of that one at 2 o'clock. Joining the show to help us break it down, Baylor Softball ESPN Plus analyst Jordan Strickland. Jordan, thanks for coming on today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is great. I'll talk softball any day, so just let me know.
I love it. Jordan, for yourself, former first team or former all Big 12 selection, all College World Series tournament team. I mean, your accolades yourself as a Baylor softball player to get to follow this team now as an analyst, somebody that gets to call these games on ESPN Plus from time to time. What is that like for you, taking on this new role with BU softball?
Yeah, it's so fun. It allows me to stay connected in softball and stay connected with Baylor and their program. I've loved playing at Baylor and playing for Coach Moore, and just so many great things and great opportunities have come from that experience. So I love just being able to stay connected and keep up to date with everything.
Jordan, as the regular season kind of winds down and we're looking at Baylor getting into the swing of postseason play, one of the things we had Dan Ingham on last week, he was talking about the hardships this team has faced, whether it be injuries, COVID, things like that. Fill us in on some of the things maybe this team has gone through so far this year.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the biggest thing would be losing Coach Mark Lumley. His retirement and ultimately his passing last December was really hard for just the entire program. Even, the alumni like myself, it's such a huge hit. We love and miss him dearly. So that this team is wearing that on their hearts. They've dedicated this season to him. And then, just the struggles that everybody's been going through with COVID and the quarantining. And this program has had to close down, for weeks at a time, multiple times, halting practices and just kind of that team bonding element. So really difficult circumstances across the board. Yeah, you mentioned a few injuries, huge players, Nikki Dawson, Anna Watson, Madison Kettler. Those are all really big athletes for this team that their leadership is for sure missed. Just a lot of adversity, like you said.
Jordan, looking up down the roster, you've got players like Gia Rizzoni in the circle. And Aaliyah Binford has gone out there as well, Sydney Holman-Manziel. I want to take a second to stop right there with Sydney Holman-Manziel and what she's been able to put together this season. I know everybody remembers that year where she was the only pitcher for Baylor. She threw an unrealistic amount of innings for the team, and the season didn't go Baylor's way just because, she was all they had. Talk about her progression as an athlete at Baylor from that year in 2019 now to this season.
Yeah, you talk about a warrior, just a strong athlete, mentally, physically. That was a tough season, and it would be easy for anybody to just go hang up the cleats after that. But to see her bounce back, she's really filled in so nicely in that 2-hole behind Gia Rizzoni this season. And you can just tell there's so much more confidence and really grace out there with her. She is a great pitcher and has really thrived this year. And I'm so glad she's coming back next season. She has another year eligibility. And so to kind of see her hopefully slide back into that ace role as Gia transitions out, but really just a competitor and a great mindset to come out and just kind of wash that season away. I think we all want to. And so to see her bounce back like that and have a really strong season is just incredible.
Jordan, at the same time, with Gia Rizzoni on the other side, you yourself got to play quite a bit as a freshman. Started 55 games when you played for Baylor as a freshman. Gia was very similar in that her freshman year into her sophomore year, she was throwing at the College World Series. She was looked to perform very early on. And now as a sixth-year senior, how the game changes in those 5 or 6 years, even in your experience from your freshman to senior year, how much can change just in the game of collegiate softball in that period of time?
Yeah, absolutely. And especially for pitchers, I'll say, it's even more, emphasized with the pitcher. As you throw more and the scouting report gets out and hitters get accustomed to you, it is so much harder to be successful as a pitcher throughout your career. And you look at Gia specifically, she had a medical red shirt. She was coming back last year and then COVID shut down the season. And so to see her bounce back, basically her 6th year, that is so much time, as you mentioned. And so to see even the success she's having today in the game, she's got a season high 11 strikeouts, which is so great. It's really difficult, probably more than any other position, to kind of be just elite in the circle throughout your entire career. So really just proud of her and props to her for keeping that dominance through the whole, tenure of her career.
Jordan, looking elsewhere through the lineup, you got players like Emily Hott now all Big 12 athlete, having never played in a Big 12 series prior to this season. Lou Gilbert stepping into a new role in left field and being a leadoff hitter where she has really thrived this season. And kind of talk about those two and what they brought to this team now as all Big 12 honorees.
Yeah, both of those, the 1-2 punch is what they're calling them. Both of those players have really stepped up this season. Emily started the season kind of batting in that 9-hole, in and out of the lineup offensively, but has really turned around and been just a staple piece of this lineup. And Lou Gilbert really transitioned nicely after Nikki Dawson went down into that leadoff spot. She's been hitting like 360 since she took over in that leadoff spot. So really just kind of the natural leadership ability emerging there. And they've been just a spark plug for the offense. And so in order for us to be successful moving into postseason, we need those two to kind of anchor down and carry the team.
I love you said that. In order to be successful, what are some of those other keys that Baylor has to check off, those boxes to check off, even with injury, battling COVID, battling so much, the things that Baylor's got to do to compete in the postseason to try to make another World Series run?
Yeah, so the last few weeks, kind of our offense has disappeared a little bit. So would really love to see the bats working today. They look a lot more aggressive. They're swinging the bat hard against Texas Tech, really taking aggressive cuts. We're having a hard time stringing them together and really putting runs across the board, right? So we need the top of the order to stay hot with Emily and Lou Gilbert, but then we also need that to kind of trickle down and to pass the bat. We don't need anybody to do it on their own, but we need more than those two to kind of get the lineup going, get the offense rolling. For defense, we need Gia to continue to throw consistently. I think it's unrealistic to expect her to throw shutouts, no hitters. It's fair to give up runs at this point, at this level, right? All these teams are so great. And so to expect shutouts is just not realistic. So our offense really has to just kind of wake up and get the bats going.
Jordan, looking at that, I want to take you back to your College World Series run that you were able to be a part of at Baylor. What was it about that team? One of my favorite parts about every College World Series team under Glenn Moore is that nobody ever expects it. It's like, there's the little small-town Texas Baptist school. Like, there's just, they're scrappy and good, but how are they going to make it to a College World Series? What is the key for a team? Now, I mean, you saw it yourself firsthand, for a team to make the College World Series at Baylor.
Yeah, I think everybody is kind of looking for the superstar player to carry the team, to do all the work, but you really find something special when you get just a cluster of players that kind of have the same common goal, and you're working hard and you're all kind of binding together for that. I mean, we had Whitney Canyon, who is, all everything pitcher, amazing. So we knew we could get there. We had Heather Stearns behind her. We knew we had the pitching power, but it was a matter of, hey, can we string everything else together to be able to accomplish that goal. And so that's what I love about that team, is it was totally a team mindset. We knew we were not going to get there without the girl next to us. And so you just kind of had this whole selfless, mindset that propelled the whole ship forward.
Jordan, looking at this season and the landscape of work that Baylor has put together, for you too, how does a team put together consistency? Because that's been one issue, not just for Baylor, but for every team across the country, where being consistent, especially in a year like this one, has been such a challenge.
Yeah, this for sure has been probably the hardest year for any of these teams to be consistent. And so I think it goes back to just what you're doing every day in and out of practice, what the leadership is conveying, whether it's the coaches or the players that are leaders, and really kind of just binding together and saying, hey, we got to work hard regardless of the day. We don't know, what's coming, but we know, if we're together, if we're working hard, like that's going to pay off. Kind of this effort and attitude is what I always go back to. Hey, if we're working hard, we have a good attitude about it, and we are, encouraging each other to be the best we can. Like that's going to build a recipe for success. And, working hard doesn't mean you win every game, right? But it does build these habits, these healthy habits, these winning habits that are going to pay off come postseason here in a few weeks.
Jordan, looking at a Baylor team that is coached by Glenn Moore, as somebody who's been in the game for over 2 decades now, been at Baylor for approaching 2 decades, 800 wins at the program, just at Baylor alone. How much better is this team, knowing that you got him in your corner?
Oh, yeah. Coach Moore is great. I am very confident in saying there's really not many coaches, if any, that are like him in the landscape of college softball. He is, what you see is what you get. So these interviews that you guys do with him, or the on-screen, interviews that you see on TV, that is truly who he is. He loves these players. He loves the Lord more than that. And so he is really trying to make these athletes great people on and off the field. He's trying to instill in them these hardworking values and ethic, work ethic that, will translate across the board everywhere else. And so he pushes these girls just to be the best. And that is, that's invaluable as a player. That, softball is, ball is life, right? When you're in college, but there is a life after the cleats, after the ball. And so, knowing that you have him in your corner is encouraging, sometimes a little scary and intimidating, but he's going to go to bat for these girls. I didn't mean to include that pun, but
Nice.
He's going to just lay it all out there for these girls. And in return, it makes it that much easier for them to do that for him and his staff. So.
Jordan, moving into Big 12 conference tournament play, just the dynamic of the conference tournament itself. Only 6 teams able to make it. There's pool play. Then you go into bracket. It's very short. It's just a little blurb on your schedule. What is the Big 12 tournament like, and how difficult is it to try to get yourself up to compete for it when you're playing so many different teams in a short span?
Yeah. So unfortunately, I never got to play in it. They took it out. It went away the year before I got to Baylor, and then it came back the year that I left. And so it was a little disappointing. But it is an interesting concept, right? They've got the 2 pools, and then you basically, play your seed that you finish in on Saturday, which is a little strange. It can help teams. It's going to be a big benefit for Baylor if we can play well and win, right? We should have a place, we're 32 RPI right now. So we should have a place in this field of 64 for postseason, but you are still kind of on that bubble with all the automatic qualifiers that will be coming through with these conference tournaments and things of that nature. So you can never be too sure. So it's really good to, add some insurance runs, play well. You've got OSU and Texas playing. Texas is fighting for a host spot in the regional landscape. And so it really can help shake things out. And it's a nice little tune-up. I would say after our Texas weekend last weekend, we for sure need the games. So I think it's all about mindset and mentality of how you're viewing these as, hey, these are another chance, to get better before postseason. Like, this is when it matters. This is what we're working for. And it's just fun to see all these tournaments. If you are watching the tournament, you've got OSU and UT on one field, and you've got Baylor, Texas Tech on the other, and you've got fans in between watching both games. Like, that is a lot of just athletic talent and fun softball, right? Back to back. So really fun opportunity with the right mindset.
Jordan, along with it, this Baylor team moving into the postseason, we've talked about some of the key pieces that they have. In a dream scenario, what is really the best case scenario for Baylor softball moving forward to try to make a run in this postseason?
Yeah, I think we put up a good showing this weekend, get out with 1 or 2 wins. We will be playing, number 1 OU here in a minute. So that'll be a good litmus test for us moving into postseason. But even then, I think we'll probably end up with a 2 or 3 seed somewhere. I would love to, I think Arkansas might be hosting, LSU might be hosting. Either one of those would be great places for us to end up. Both those teams are playing well, but would love to see us just get in there and compete. And kind of what you said earlier, like, Baylor loves to be the underdog. We are scrappy, underrated. And so I love to see them get in there and mix it up in the postseason.
Obviously, Glenn Moore, a lot of success at Baylor when playing in Fayetteville, and he knows Baton Rouge really well, along with Beth Torina. So it'd be awesome to see Baylor in either of those regionals. And then, Jordan, not just what can Baylor do, but what gives you the confidence that Baylor could make a postseason run?
Yeah, they've got a lot of veteran leadership. You look at Gia Rizzoni in the circle, Goose McGlon out there, Taylor Ellis. These players have been there. They've done that. They've all been in the World Series, so they know what the end of the tunnel could look like. And you're looking at the end of their careers. And so you've got kind of that extra special push for them, and just the ability to know that they've been there. They can lead to that position. You never know what could happen in the postseason. All it takes is just a little bit of magic to get on a run. Like, you get on a streak and and it doesn't stop. I mean, and that would be a great testament to their freshman year team that did go to the World Series, upsetting an incredible Arizona team in that super regional. So they can do it, and they're going to have to rely on that senior leadership to step up and just kind of show the way.
Jordan, I'd be remiss if I didn't bring it up. Coach Moore and I sat down for dinner at a cheesecake factory in Gainesville, Florida, right before the COVID-19 pause, on a road trip for a series down at UF. And one of the things that he brought up as maybe his favorite moment as the Baylor softball coach, 2015, number 17 Baylor's got number 5 Oklahoma. The game's in Norman. Lauren Chamberlain is about to break the home run record. So ESPN is in town. All eyes in the nation are on Lauren Chamberlain to break the home run record. And out comes little Baylor with Heather Stearns, shutting out Oklahoma, mercy ruling Oklahoma, 8-0 in Norman. Stearns 2-hit the Sooners that night. What do you remember about that game?
It was wild. It was absolutely wild. And even retelling the story to people, they don't quite believe you just because it's so uncharacteristic for OU. I mean, and it wasn't even that they had a meltdown or that they played bad. It was just that we came out and were ready to win a softball game. It was an incredible environment. So much fun. Heather was the epitome of the underdog pitcher. I hated hitting against her. But everybody knew Whitney Canyon as the lefty superstar All-American. So you never knew what was the 2-punch of that, right? And so whenever 2 is just as scary, if not scarier than 1, which at that point it was just Heather, but people, again, just underrated her, did not give her the credit she deserved. And I think that game, she proved herself in the World Series the year before, but then that game coming out and just making Oklahoma look silly, to be totally honest with you. That was such a defining moment in her career and such a fun memory for my senior season. Like, not many people can say, yeah, we run-rolled Oklahoma on their turf.
Obviously, or Oklahoma's Lauren Chamberlain would come back and break the home run record in the midweek the next week. But Coach Moore told me that obviously it was the pitching staff's number 1 goal to not let Lauren Chamberlain hit a home run. And then how about we go back before, I'd be remiss if I didn't bring this one up either, 2014. The game is all but over. I mean, Baylor is about to be mercy ruled in the College World Series, really on national television. Everybody's watching. Kentucky's rolling, and the Lady Bears haven't even put up a run. Refresh my memory on what happened after that.
Oh, yeah. I'll let you know. So we came back with literally 2 outs in the bottom of the 6th inning and came back to win in 8 and extra innings. And it was an unbelievable game. Again, another one of those games where, and even whenever you watch it, you don't know how it's going to end. You don't know how we come back and win that game. And so, but again, you got Heather Stearns coming in the circle and really passing the bat offensively. It was one of those, Ari Hawkins had an incredible game, but it was that team was literally just, you get on base and then I'll get on base and then I'll get on base. And so we really just passed the bat and the true epitome of like a total team effort. Really incredible game to be a part of. You started with everybody kind of cheering for Kentucky, and by the end, just the whole stadium, 10,000 people are just roaring for Baylor, like could not believe it, including us. So, but it was so awesome.
7-0 score and a comeback. Prior to that game, Kentucky's pitcher had only allowed 7 hits in the entire World Series. Baylor put up 6 in the 6th inning alone to win that one. Jordan, I was just going down memory lane. A little bit of softball nostalgia for you there.
Love it.
Before we get you out of here, though, we got our Bear Games question of the day where we're talking about Kim Mulkey, who's being honored tomorrow as a Naismith Hall of Famer. She'll be inducted. Michael Jordan giving her introduction. She'll give a speech. And we're asking folks their favorite Kim Mulkey memory from her and her time in her 21 seasons at Baylor. What is yours, Jordan?
Man, Kim Mulkey, she is incredible. I already miss her, but I'm so excited for her to just, succeed at LSU and be home where she wants to be. So Mackenzie, her daughter, Robertson at the time, she used to be on the softball team. And so she would come and pinch run for softball and was kind of a multi-sport athlete. But whenever she hung up her cleats, Kim came and gave the pregame speech for, one of our softball games. I believe it was actually against OU my freshman year for a home series. And I felt like just after that moment, I was ready to run through a wall for her. I mean, she knows how to get to these athletes, to inspire them, to get them to play hard. And I mean, I was like, I will go play for you any day. You want me in a basketball uniform? Let's go. But just her spirit, her, her aggressiveness, her fierceness, like she is just such a total team player, like work hard, play hard, like let's go get them. I love Baylor, basically. So really fun, like just kind of personal memory that we had with her as the softball team.
Well, Jordan, thanks so much for joining the show today and giving us your perspective on this Baylor softball season. And like I said, a trip down memory lane a little bit there with Baylor softball memories of old. It's a pleasure to have you on.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. This was great.
Yeah, let's do it again after they come back to upset Tech and then beat Oklahoma this afternoon.
Sounds great. I love it.
I love it. Thanks again, Jordan. That was Jordan Strickland, ESPN Plus analyst for Baylor Softball, covering Baylor Softball as a Baylor alumni. When we come back, we're going to roll through our top 5, the moments of the week this week on Uptempo, and all the best things that we've seen in the past 5 days. I'm Drake Toll. That's Marquise Cooley. We got Jack McKenzie up in this stew today. When we come back, it is top 5 time. This, don't go anywhere, is Uptempo.